Football Fantasy.
Hello and welcome to Keepers. It's week 4 and bye weeks already? The season just started. I hate bye weeks. No one should get any rest ever. I don't. All right, let's do this. Start Tony Romo. The league's 5th-rated passer seems poised for another big game against the Chargers. Romo's thrown 6 touchdowns with just 1 pick this year, and Dez Bryant says his back is close to 100%. Even if Miles Austin's hamstring turns out to be an issue, Dallas should still have the weapons to expose San Diego's flawed pass defense. If you've got some depth at running back, sit C.J. Spiller. Spiller had more carries than yards against the Jets. He also hasn't found the end zone yet this year. It'll be tough to change that this week against a Baltimore D that has not surrendered any scores on the ground. Start the Chiefs defense. They're coming off back-to-back games versus the explosive Cowboys and Eagles offenses and held them both to 16 points. Chiefs lead the AFC in scoring defense. We'll be going up against a Giants offense that did not get on the scoreboard last week versus the Panthers. Expect sacks and turnovers. Sit Andre Johnson. He suffered a concussion in week 2 and a shin injury in week 3 forced him to leave the game. And his prospects look bad this week against the NFL's best pass defense. Look for Richard Sherman to shadow Johnson for much of the game, a tactic that led to Anquan Bolin getting 1 catch in week 2. Start Michael Vick. I know, I got burned by that lousy Thursday night performance too, but the Eagles are going to have to score to keep up with Denver, and they won't be able to lean as heavily against the run against the Broncos. Look for both teams to run around 80 plays in a good old-fashioned shootout. Sit the Patriots defense. Matt Ryan is always incredible in the Georgia Dome, except in the playoffs. And even though the Pats have only allowed 13 points combined over the past 2 weeks, they're going up against a whole nother animal in what will be a ticked-off 1-2 Falcons team, not Geno Smith/Josh Freeman. The Pats will struggle to slow down Atlanta's offense as they prepare to face their first big-time QB of 2013. Start Kobe Fleener. With Dwayne Allen out, he's the primary tight end at Indianapolis, and Jacksonville gave up 2 touchdowns to Zach Miller last week. Go Hawks. Sit Tavon Austin. He's been good for 6 catches a week, but despite 2 touchdowns in week 2, he hasn't been used as the offensive weapon the Rams promised. I'd look for other options with the Niners coming to town. There was some good advice in last week's trading block, which recommended you sell on Ryan Matthews, Michael Vick, and Eddie Royal, who came down to earth with 2 catches for 34 yards after 2 brilliant weeks. But my sits and starts last week deserve your ridicule, primarily with Dwayne Bowe getting 1 catch for 4 yards after I said to start him against the soft Philly D. The lesson? Be wary of offenses on Thursday Night Football. And also, I believe I'm entitled to bask in the good advice issued in previous weeks, where I told you to pick up Josh Gordon and warned you off of drafting Steven Jackson. I'm telling you, I am not a crackpot. Buy low on Arian Foster. Yes, Ben Tate is stealing carries and looking better with them. Tate might get a lot of yardage, but Foster is still effective and the team's goal line back. If he struggles this week against Seattle's D, see if you can steal him from a frustrated owner. Sell high on Stephen Ridley. Even with Shane Vereen out, it's a crowded backfield in New England with LeGarrette Blount and now Brandon Bolin getting integrated into the Patriots' game plans. And the impending return of Gronk just makes it less likely the Pats will try to run the ball in the red zone. Buy on Donnie Avery. Earlier this season, I was high on Dwayne Bowe without taking into account that his routes often take him 15 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, thereby negating any chance that Alex Smith will throw to him. What Avery did against the Eagles, short routes that allow him to use his speed after the catch, seems more geared to this Chiefs offense. Sell high on Jonathan Franklin. 100 yards and a touchdown is a great debut, but Eddie Lacy and James Starks have the bye week to get healthy. If you picked him up, go ahead and flip him. I feel like weather reports too often focus on bad weather. Let's change it up and look to Denver, where it'll be sunny and in the mid-70s for the Eagles-Broncos game. Great weather for touchdowns. With both teams playing up-tempo offenses, go ahead and start all your Eagles and Broncos. Nice catch. Except for Riley Cooper. Never started Kenny Chesney fan. Hire Terrell Pryor and fire Joe Flacco. Despite suffering a concussion on Monday night, Pryor showed signs of promise against an NFL powerhouse. He should rush for several hundred yards and a few TDs by the end of the year. Joe Flacco, on the other hand, has always been mediocre in regular season, and even more so, now with key targets being injured and/or getting beaten up by strippers. Hey, I'll have you know, Sweet Pea is a hostess at a strip club, just totally not the same thing as a stripper. It's the same thing. Hire Jason Snelling and fire Daryl Richardson. Snelling stepped up with over 100 yards from scrimmage and a TD in the first game of Steven Jackson's soon-to-be lingering thigh injury. Also, little man Jack Wiz Rogers isn't going to get much in the way of goal line carries. Richardson did little in his first 2 games, then a foot injury in week 3 caused him to leave the game after just a couple snaps. Not a lot to like about an unproductive, injured running back. Hire Ryan Broyles and fire Lance Moore. Moore has just 4 catches for 44 yards in 3 games. Robert Meacham produced more fantasy points coming in off the street for New Orleans. Broyles may not be 100% healthy, but he's thrust into the number 2 position now that Nate Burleson suffered his pizza injury. Don't laugh. You should respect any man who risks his life to protect a pizza. That is all for week 4 of Keepers. Your outdoor activity of the week, bourbon tasting. It's educational because they show you the distilling process. Really helps you appreciate drinking to get through a Buccaneers game. Aw, good luck, Mike Glennon. Protect that freakishly long neck of yours. Set your lineups. See you next week.